Good evening. I'd like to call tonight's organizational of the meeting of the board to order. Tonight at this time I'll be serving as Chair Pro Tem in accordance with the board's bylaws and will be serving in this capacity until completion of election of the board's chair. At this time we'd like to begin with the territorial acknowledgement, and after, if you could please rise if you're able for O Canada.
We would like to acknowledge
that the land on which we gather here today
was used by the Haudenosaunee,
Anishinaabe, and Neutral people.
We also acknowledge the enduring presence
and deep traditional knowledge,
les lois et les philosophies traditionnelles
of the Indigenous people
with whom we share this land today.
with whom we share this land today.
with whom we share this land today.
It has been a long-standing tradition of the Waterloo Region District School Board to have the current board chair recommend someone to provide opening remarks at the organizational meeting. At this time, I would like to ask our Human Rights and Equity Advisor, Walia, to introduce our guest speakers.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to introduce our guests this evening. Fawzia Beg serves as the Region of Waterloo's Director of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. In this key leadership role, she is focused on advancing systemic change, social justice, and anti-racism initiatives within the organization and the broader community. With a background in public health and community collaboration, Fawzia previously worked as an equity and anti-racism advisor to the Chief Administrative Officer and was a community engagement lead for the COVID-19 Vaccine Distribution Task Force. She also spearheaded the community engagement for the development of the Community Safety and Wellbeing Framework. Her extensive experience includes co-chairing the Kitchener's Mayor's Task Force on Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion and serving on our board's Equity and Inclusion Advisory Group. In November of last year, she was the recipient of the Founders Social Justice Award from Muslim Social Services of Waterloo Region at their inaugural awards ceremony. Fawzia holds a Master's of Science from the University of Waterloo. Tonight, Fawzia will be sharing about the new We All Belong Here anti-hate campaign led by her and her team at the Region of Waterloo. Also joining us is Samina Sami. Samina is the Executive Director of Community Safety and Wellbeing for the Region of Waterloo. Working together with the steering committee, Samina leads the implementation of the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan, focused on creating safety and well-being for all residents, including students. Samina brings a wealth of public sector experience, including leadership and policy roles with the Government of Ontario, where she managed files such as gender-based violence strategies, public safety programs, and anti-racism initiatives. Samina holds a Bachelor of Science and Master of Education from the University of Toronto and a Joint Executive Master of Business Administration from the Schulich School of Business and the Kellogg School of Management. Tonight, Samina will be providing an overview of the Waterloo Region Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. Please join me in welcoming Fawzia Beg and Samina Sami to the podium.
Good evening. It's an honor to present here today, and thank you for inviting us. I'll be starting out with some background and context to the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. One of the areas in my introductions that I thought I'd share with you is that I'm in some ways returning to this region. And the last time that, before my son was born, who was 15, I was pregnant 8 months, and there was a call. I was with the province at the time, and there was a call for, we want to deal with youth violence, and we want to prevent youth violence and work on that issue. And although I was 8 months pregnant, I came out here to the region and presented as part of a consortium on what we can do to mitigate youth violence, help youth, go towards pathways that are not in the criminal justice system. And my son is now 15, and I just find it no small irony that full circle I'm back here. And but when he was, he was with me, and I was pregnant with him, I was right here in this region speaking about youth and students. So I'll start off just speaking with about the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. Next slide, please. So a little bit of context here. I thought this would be helpful. I come from both government, community services, as well as higher education. And the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan, I thought just helpful to have some context so everyone's got the same baseline. It actually comes under the Community Safety and Policing Services Act of 2019, which requires that all municipalities in Ontario implement a community safety and well-being plan, and they're to do so in collaboration with community groups, systems partners, and police services. As part of the legislation, the plans are to be submitted every 4 years. The plans are required to be renewed in that 4-year cycle, and they're supposed to be published publicly so that it's in a transparent, accountable process. They're also supposed to involve community risks, looking at risks and mitigating those risks. The legislation outlines a framework for planning, and that framework for planning includes 4 areas: social development, prevention, risk intervention, and incident response. But those first 3 areas, from social development through to risk intervention and prevention, are considered the most important. And why is the legislation written as such? As educators, as those who have stewardship over the education system, as you know, when students have opportunities that are taking them away from the criminal justice system, that they have viable pathways, an educational future, a recreational future, a healthy future, we're actually, not then spending, and not being inefficient in terms of moving people into the criminal justice system, which is a very, of course, traumatic, problematic place to be, but it's also one that is enormously expensive. So the Act actually says the most efficient use of resources is to spend time between police services, community groups, and systems partners to come up with plans that are focused on social development, prevention, and risk mitigation. So systems partners. Systems partners are another really key element of the legislation. The legislation requires that there's advisory committees made up of partners, and it actually prescribes that school boards are to be part of those partners, in addition to other systems partners, such as hospitals, health agencies, other partners such as that. And that as part of that planning, that there should be, again, collaboration, risk mitigation, and that there should be a great deal of working together and publishing those plans in an accountable fashion. So I just wanted to recognize within that context your incredible contribution to the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. I'm relatively recent. I arrived here in September, but Fawzia has been sharing all the incredible work that you've been doing as a school board to support, the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan and the campaign. And please know that you're considered a very, very important systems partner as part of the legislation. So the last time that the region submitted the plan, that was in March of 2022, which was the framework that Fawzia worked on in her team, and also an asset map, a community asset map. So we're now due for an updating of that plan in March of 2026. And what we're doing in that process is we've got now governance tables, a steering committee, an advisory committee, community action tables. We're going to be working with them to make sure that we have that plan submitted to the ministry by March, and we'll be publishing it. Now, this is not a refresh in terms of an entirely new plan. It's building upon a great foundation since 2022. There's been a lot of work at those action tables. There's been considerable work that's been happening at the steering committee, the advisory committee. There's a robust framework. There's a number of initiatives, one of which you'll be hearing about in detail. We'll be building all of that into the plan in consultation with our community members, and then publishing it, and then we're going to work on another 4-year cycle. So that's a little bit about the context of the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. Next slide, please. So the process, and you see this, it's been a very iterative, community-based process. I won't speak to every little piece in there, but I'll speak at a high level if you can see right from the genesis of this being a community-led journey. That's exactly what this process has been, from working with community groups, holding symposia, consulting with communities in terms of what are those priorities, how to work with them, where are those risk-based areas. All of that work then led to a framework that's very much rooted in a community centricity, in a social justice approach, in an approach that recognizes truth and reconciliation, but also equity and working collaboratively. In addition to that, the region has identified 4 pillars in collaboration with all those systems partners. And that's everything from, addressing hate through to intimate partner violence, to gender-based violence, missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, mental health and addictions, and safe and inclusive spaces. In addition to that is a governance framework. There is a branding of this whole plan, a communication strategy of which we're going to be implementing some more, and there's been continuing work on those action tables to implement initiatives. Again, the campaign being one. And that work is going to continue in that cycle in collaboration with communities, listening to communities, respecting communities. I'm here to serve, so I'm here to be a facilitator. I'm here as someone who brings cultural humility to the space. No matter what expertise, knowledge, or experience anyone brings, one needs to always learn, adapt, grow, and learn with your communities. That's the approach we'll continue to take, a community-led journey. Next slide, please. And so here's the framework, rooted in action and change. And as you see, the vision, there has been a rich history in the region. And I used to work when I was with the Ministry of the Solicitor General and with Community Safety. We used to work right in this region on a program called Community Safety. And we worked on some of the crime prevention work in this region, which I've been hearing a lot about, that rich history. So this is a framework building on the good work already underway that it speaks to. And it's also taking that in terms of a goal of enabling every person who calls Waterloo Region home, that they feel safe, that they feel enabled, that they feel cared for, and that they have the opportunity to thrive. And that framework, again, is that framework rooted in social justice, as you see, in equity and collaboration, but also meaningful action. The campaign is one of those areas of meaningful action. We've heard from community groups that this is going right back to 2022, that this is one of the things that they wanted to do. There's a sense of belonging. So meaningful action is very much a part of this, and we're going to be doing a lot of work also on outcomes, on measurements, and that it's rooted, the work we're doing is rooted in evidence-based practices. Next slide. So the priority areas. There's 4 priority areas there that have been identified as risk-based areas in the plan. The first, addressing intimate partner violence, gender-based violence, missing and murdered Indigenous women, a really critical area. The region has declared gender-based violence an epidemic. This also holds true for multiple regions across this province as well as Canada. It's a very, very serious issue. While I was working with police and community groups for years, we used to hear about the calls that were through the roof in terms of intimate partner violence and gender-based violence. And currently, there's over 6,000 calls that come into just Waterloo Regional Police and the Family Hub around family violence. So you can see this is very much taking a risk-based approach. It's an area we need to address. Secondly, addressing mental health and addictions needs. Sadly, there is an epicenter of this happening across, not only in North America and the world, of seeing an uptick in mental health and addictions. The table that's working on these areas is very engaged in every sort of stage of life, from youth to adults to homelessness, and how this all plays out. We're seeing an incredible uptick in this area post-COVID, and again, this is across the province. So very much a risk-based area to address and to deal with. And I spent, as some of you may have, I was at the Children and Youth Conference that was held earlier today, and the youth who have been part of the advisory again and again and again, this is one of the top areas. We have our own youth advisory group. I was meeting with them last week in the evening. We had them rank priorities. Number 1 on their list is mental health and addictions. The third area is countering hate. Why is the risk-based approach there? So Waterloo Region has for some time had the largest number of police-reported hate incidents reported for over a 10-year period. Now, we're going to be investigating and looking into that some more. Is that because there is significantly more hate in Waterloo Region than other areas? Or is this because there's a degree of people wanting to report? So reporting into the police is not necessarily an indication that there is a higher level of hate-based incidents in the region. It could be that. But we're also certainly seeing that with those high levels, this is an area to address. The stats are there. As well as, in Fawzia, it's the belonging survey, right? It's the belonging survey where there was a dip in
Community Foundations,
yes,
Vital Sign Report.
the vital sign report that was showing that there was actually a lowering in terms of people feeling inclusive in the community. So when we see those 2 metrics, this is an important area to address. And then last is safe and inclusive spaces. The communities, I've read the reports, I've looked at everything the communities have said. When you feel included, safe, and have a sense of belonging, then that is when you truly feel safe. Safety is not just physical safety, it's psychological safety. And right now we're working as a priority with our Indigenous communities to ensure we have spaces for them, such as hubs and healing lodges, make our Indigenous communities in the region feel safe and included. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is a very elaborate governance structure. I won't ask everyone to go detailed through that, but really just to know how it all works in terms of a collaborative approach and community accountability. There is a steering committee. The steering committee includes leaders, such as the regional chair, such as mayors. It includes the chief of police, other leaders there. They're a decision-making body. There's also the advisory body. The advisory committee, as I mentioned, it's enshrined in legislation, of which, educational boards are expected to be part of those advisory bodies. So they're systems partners. Systems partners are enormously important as part of this process. If you consider just leveraging the campaign in schools, if you consider just being able to refer students to the right services, all of those areas, systems partners such as school boards are critical to this. Then below that is what you're seeing is those action tables under those 4 pillars. There's also a youth advisory. As if you can see, youth voices are a very important part, built right into the governance of this model. And there's a data working group, and there is a government relations and communications, because communications is critical to all of this as well. So this is how it all comes together. And then there's a core support team, which are leads who come together to bring those priorities forward, move them ahead. So a very robust governance model. Next slide, please. Okay, there's the website if you wanted to take a look. It is being updated, constantly. We're going to be putting a lot more updates on it. So please feel welcome to look and get more details from the website. I've given you a high-level overview. Thank you so much for your time today. I'll turn it over to Fawzia.
Okay, so I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the We All Belong Here campaign. I feel very fortunate to be here to share about it. This campaign, I get asked, where did it come from? And I think Samina touched on some of the stats leading up to it. But I think we've been hearing a lot from community and community members and leaders about the growing concern about hate and identity-based harm that's been happening in Waterloo Region. And this campaign is a direct action that came out of that Combating Hate Action Table, which is a group of incredible leaders that represent diverse community organizations, grassroots organizations, identities, lived experience, systems and sectors, including the Waterloo Regional District School Board. So we're very grateful for that. And on top of that, I think many of us are parents, siblings, children, have families, and have just care and concern for what's happening in this community. And a campaign like this is so important, especially in the education system. And again, very grateful that the school board has been part of this journey from the beginning. Next slide. So more about the Combating Hate Action Table. So again, this is a table of the Community Safety Wellbeing Plan. and has come together, and we've been meeting over several months to kind of think about what it would take to combat hate in Waterloo Region. And the group, over very intentional conversations, often very difficult dialogue in difficult times, has come up with 3 key goals that include system accountability, mapping of resources and supports, and implementing a very clear and impactful anti-hate campaign. Luckily, we're able to roll all 3 of those goals into one campaign that we're going to be talking about today. In addition to the development of that campaign from the chat table, we've been working with the Youth Advisory Group from the beginning. This is another group of 30-plus youth that have come together to provide input and support into initiatives and activities, and the anti-hate campaign has been key on their list. They've often been the first group to provide input into campaign designs, vision boards, provide feedback, and have been really actively involved in that. And so I could go on and on and on and tell you about how incredible the chat members are, but we actually have a video that's going to help me do that, and you can hear from them directly.
For the most part, I think people enjoy living in this community, but unfortunately there are also those who experience a lot of hate and harm in our community. We have a wonderful community. We have lots of work to do just to make sure that people feel like they are respected and included and safe to be who they are.
Even in ideological hate movements, there are felt sensations of belonging. And so folks are operating from a place of unmet need. And it's difficult when needs are being met in ways that cause harm to others.
What we're seeing and hearing is there's a lot of identity-based conflicts and harms happening because our diversity is growing. And so that takes skills and intentional effort to view diversity as a strength and an asset, as opposed to something we are going to have conflict or want to hurt each other about.
The slogan itself, the campaign's message, hate is not okay. Name it and report it means a lot for me, because it means that it's just not about good intentions. It's about taking action against hate by naming it and by reporting it.
I believe that addressing hate requires an all-community response. Having the perspective from a policing lens and ensuring that evidence-based practices are used in the development of any strategies is important. Addressing hate requires learning, understanding what other communities, how communities feel about hate and their perspectives on hate.
I feel a big sense of hope and also urgency within the community. Being able to work with youth across the whole region has been really exciting. To me, this campaign is about building a community where everyone, and especially those that have been historically targeted and marginalized, can feel seen without a sense of fear. So it's about listening, understanding each other, learning from each other, and speaking out.
I also see a lot of really good things happening in Waterloo Region, such as the Combating Hate Action Table, where diverse community members are gathering together and saying, we want something different. We want to intentionally build something different, and so that we have a community where everybody belongs, where diversity is celebrated, where we can all thrive and feel included and like we're, a very valued part of the community.
There will always be challenges when addressing hate, but seeing the effort put forward together from all community partners is something that I'm proud of. As long as we work together to address hate and nobody's working in silos, we can help ensure that our community is safe and feels safe.
We want something different for our community in Waterloo Region. And so I'm hoping to see this movement growing of just saying, hey, we are different, but let's be curious about each other's differences.
We're all human beings at the end of the day, and we're all equally important to a successful community and the health and well-being of society.
What I really appreciate about this campaign is that it names a thing. It is courageous and brave enough to do that, and it is humble and gentle enough to invite people in as opposed to push people out. And I think one of the ways that we support people to turn back around is to join them and journey with them where they are, as opposed to expecting them to be where we need them to be.
A successful campaign is one where people are having conversations. Is everyone getting involved in some way, whether that's sharing about the campaign or whether it's just, engaging friends and colleagues in conversations about what the campaign is about.
Success to me is about taking action against hate by naming it and by reporting it. And when it happens, we will all know that we all really belong here. It's not a campaign anymore, it is who we are.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So here are some of the goals of the campaign, and I hope you'll see in these goals that we've really centered children, youth, and families in their critical role in reducing hate and building belonging, and that it will take intergenerational action, right? When we look about how do we see change in our youngest and bring in that hope in terms of early intervention in children, right? So I think these goals really reflect the range of work that kind of needs to happen with a campaign like this, and really focusing on how do we continue to celebrate diversity and always remember that we're stronger together. Because I think in difficult times, it's really easy to fall away and separate and fracture. But really the vision is that we need to keep reminding ourselves that we are stronger together and that we can be an ally. Next slide. So in addition to the Combating Hate Action Table and Youth Advisory Group providing input into the campaign design and messaging, we also went out to the broader community and tried to get input into that. And so we went to places where community was gathering, festivals, events. We even did a school board roundtable here with students and got their input as well. And we found that people really love voting with dots. And so we did a dot activity where we brought 6 key messages, and I'll share those messages with you in a second, or a theme, and asked people to vote for what resonates the most with them when they think about building belonging and reducing hate. Next slide. And so here are the 6 messages that we brought to those events. We also, did an online engagement as well, part of this. And you'll see that You Belong Here, We Belong Here came out on top very clearly. And so this is how this campaign continued to roll down with this theme and really center that message into the campaign design and materials. Next slide. Okay, so this is the campaign design. If you haven't already seen it, I'm wearing it right now too. And I actually noticed there's a poster up already from one of the activation events in the hallway that's incredible. But what you'll see with the design is that there are a range of hands, and the hands are coming together, and they're meant to reflect the rich diversity in this community. And they center the message that we all belong here, and we use this design for social media posters. You'll see it on billboards, there's paid advertisement, there's radio ads, and, next slide, there's a bus. And we found that, oddly enough, wrapping a bus in this message is a really great way to engage people into this conversation. People love the bus. Like, we take it out to community events, and people come up to it, they're interested, they're intrigued. It's a safe way to open a conversation on something that often is difficult to open into, to talk about. And so the bus has been really successful. The other thing I didn't mention is that we also translated all of the materials in the top 5 most requested languages as ranked by Immigration Partnership, and then 5 local Indigenous languages as well. Next slide. So one of the goals that I mentioned by the Combating Hate Action Table was also to have resources and supports available to people in community. And really what was really clear is that we needed to launch a website along with the campaign. And so this website, similar to the campaign, has been co-developed, co-designed, and curated by members of the Combating Hate Action Table, so by community for community. And it's really meant to be a kind and gentle way to bring people in around this conversation, no matter where they are in their journey. And so for that reason, the website has information for those that are experiencing hate and seeking support. healing and information to those wanting to help and to be an ally, and to those who even may have caused harm and are seeking support and opportunities for change. And the QR code is there if you want to take a look at it and check it out. There's an incredible range of resources, and we'll continue to add and update information on that website. Next slide. Okay, so we had our official launch October 23rd, and it was an amazing opportunity to bring people together around this campaign, to put it out into this community. The reception was incredible. It was brought to life by all the people that attended. The energy was just brilliant. I think there were members here that you might see in that picture that came and attended, and really, like, a campaign like this is only as strong as the people standing behind it. So it was an incredible day. Next slide. And with the official launch, what we planned was a series of community activation events. We've had about 20 planned across community in Waterloo Region. They have been co-hosted by chat members and system partners. The one that we have here showing is the one that we did at Forest Heights a couple of weeks ago. It was an incredible morning. I came there to talk about the campaign, but I left feeling inspired by the youth that came up to me afterwards and were talking to me about how they wanted to amplify the campaign and ways in which they could do that, and really just mobilizing into action. They're like, can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? And I was like, yes, 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 yes. This is amazing. So that was a day that really was like, kind of filled your cup, right? Because you saw that energy and that connection with youth, and that it was landing, and that they were going to take it forward where you could not. So that was a great day. Next slide. Okay. So I'd like to kind of end this presentation on a personal note. I often get asked, what does it mean when we say hate is not okay, name it, report it? And is hate really happening in Waterloo Region? And for many of us, the simple answer is yes. And to help kind of bring the importance of this campaign to life, I'd like to kind of lean into a personal story and kind of share that vulnerability with all of you. It's not easy talking about these experiences, especially in places that you're not used to talking about them, but I think part of this campaign is naming it and speaking about it. And so what I've been doing is sharing a little bit about some of my own experiences. So about a year ago today, while I was dropping my son off to school, I was followed and cornered by a man who felt the incredible need to tell me very explicitly why I didn't belong here, what my worth was, and where I should go. And I came out of that experience feeling a range of emotions, from shock to fear to anger, to deep sadness, because I knew that I wasn't the only one that had experienced something like that, and that probably many others are experiencing or know someone who has experienced such an incident. And so I kind of was taken aback, and I just kind of held on to that for a while until I could figure out what my healing journey was. And that journey was long, and it required really an acknowledgement of the impact of that incident had on me. It required trusted supports, care and compassion from my family, my friends, my colleagues at work, and this is really what this campaign is all about. And I know that a campaign alone can't solve hate crimes, identity-based harm, hate incidents, but what it can do is really center our own accountability into what needs to happen, and to really shed light on that we all need to do better and we all need to do more. And I think that's what this campaign is all about, is also putting in that accountability for systems and people to kind of think about what is it that I can do to contribute and do more. And so last year, I took a personal pledge, and I said when I was ready that I would speak up against hate, and that I would share their story, and that I would name it. And that's what I'm doing today. And so I'd encourage all of you as well to think about what your personal pledge is in terms of reducing hate and building belonging. in saying that hate is not okay, in naming it and reporting it in ways that are meaningful to you and that feel safe to you. But I think this campaign will only continue to grow bigger and succeed if we all see ourselves in it and play a role in it. So that's what I'd like to leave you with today. Thank you.
Samina, welcome back to Waterloo Region, and congratulations on your new role. And to you and Fazia, thank you so much for coming tonight, for your leadership in the region in this most important work. We're proud as a school board to be part of and members of the steering committee for the community safety and well-being team, as well as part of all of the action tables, specifically the anti-hate table that was spoken about tonight in the We All Belong campaign. We were proud to be there at the opening, the initial kickoff to start. In addition, opening up Forest Heights, just as you said, about earlier this month. And I think we had 50 or 60 students there, yourselves, and a number of trustees and staff also were in attendance. And shows, I believe, our commitment as a district school board to create and make contributions to the region to ensure that people do feel safe and that they feel like they belong and can see themselves in this region and are honored for who they are and their identity. Fazia, too, thank you for your courage tonight and sharing your personal story. Those are never easy to do, especially in a room where there isn't relationship or strong relationship. So thank you, because it just further shows that we all can do better, and certainly our commitment as a school board is just that. So thank you both very much. So we will move on tonight at this organizational meeting to the election of the chair. And at this time, to begin our election, there have been two staff members who have been asked to be scrutineers. And tonight for the election, those will be the election of the chair and vice chair. The two scrutineers will be Associate Director Bill Lemon and Superintendent Nick Landry will be fulfilling this role. So at this time, we will start the nomination for board chair. Nominations are to be made verbally, and no seconder is required for a nomination. A trustee cannot nominate more than one candidate. Once nominations have been closed, each candidate will be provided an opportunity to speak to their nomination should they accept it. So with that, are there any nominations for the position of chair? Trustee Meisman?
Thank you. Through you, I would like to nominate Trustee Radlin for the role of chair.
Thank you. Are there any further nominations? Take that as a no. And when there are no more nominations, we will then ask Trustee Radlin, do you accept the nomination? Could we have a motion to close nominations? Trustee Woodcock and a seconder, Trustee Johnson. Is there any discussion on this motion? Now for the vote. All in favor? And the motion is now closed and it is carried. Congratulations, Chair Radlin. That was my next line. If you could please come up and join me at the front.
Thank you, Director Miller, for acting as Chair Pro Tem. It is time for nominations for Board Vice Chair. Nominations are to be made verbally, and no seconder is required for nomination. A trustee cannot nominate more than one candidate. Once nominations have been closed, each candidate will be provided an opportunity to speak to their nomination should they accept it. Are there any nominations for the position of Vice Chair? Trustee Estoesta?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to nominate Trustee Wasim for the position of Vice Chair.
Trustee Estoesta has nominated Trustee Wasim. Are there any further nominations? Trustee Wasim, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
Do I have a mover and second?
Too happy? Too happy of a tone?
Do I have a mover and seconder to close nominations for the position of Vice Chair? Trustee Estoesta, seconded by Trustee Meisner. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? The motion to close nominations is carried. Trustee Wasim is acclaimed as Board Vice Chair. Would Vice Chair Wasim like to make a statement at this time?
I'm going to go there for just a second. Hi, everyone. Okay, I would just like to start off by saying a huge thank you to Trustee Estoesta for, nominating me for this position, and to all of you for trusting me with this role. To start off the thank yous, though, I have to give it to my predecessor, none other than Trustee Joanne Weston. You know, there's 24 hours in a day, but somehow she manages to find 25. I don't know how she does it. So I just want to say thank you so much for your hard work and for having really big shoes to fill. Something that I wanted to share with you all is that for the time that I was a student with this board, I used to go in and do workshops on mental health and well-being. And this lasted for about 7 years. And in those workshops, there was often an activity that we'd open with, and I'm going to make you all do it with me today. So ready for some audience participation? All right, we're going to split this room into half. So if you're on this side of Director Miller, you are side ooh. Can you guys say ooh? Nice. One more time. Ooh. Okay. And if you're Chair Radlin and this side of the room, your side ah. So can I get a? It was not a very enthusiastic one. Can we try one more time? Nice. Okay, so when I point to your side of the room, you're going to give me an ooh or an ah, depending on what side you're on. Let's do a quick test. Okay, perfect. You might be like, why were we just doing this random activity? But I think it's important that sometimes we get a little bit silly, even in places that feel really serious, like this boardroom. A lot of times this kind of work can feel draining. The thank yous can feel really sparse. And when you're sitting here reading paperwork most of the time, dealing with phone calls or emails or challenges in the community, such as the ones we just learned about, it can feel really daunting. And when the fun is removed from it, you sometimes lose sight of why you're even working so hard towards this end goal that is pretty easy to forget. And so I hope that with my time as vice chair, I hope to be collaborative, fun, approachable, and just really want to thank you all for your trust and look forward to continue working with you. Thank you.
Wow, I think the chair is going to have to change her style. So thank you to Trustee Meisner for nominating me. And I'm looking forward to working with Vice Chair Wasim to lead a very effective and hard-working group of trustees which prioritizes student achievement, well-being, and equity. As Trustee Wasim mentioned, there are challenges. And many of our challenges we know about, they're being discussed through media releases. But it is important that we not be distracted by this and that we continue to focus on our job. And as we do that, we also need to celebrate, because the Waterloo Region District School Board has a lot to celebrate. We have hardworking, competent, qualified staff who are leading amazing students to do amazing things. So we also want to celebrate as we recognize that there is always room to grow and to improve and to work on things as they come up. So my goal as chair is to continue to advocate for strengthened homeschool partnerships and for larger community presence, to work with staff to optimize outcomes for student achievement and well-being, to work with business services to continue to ensure financial accountability while optimizing funding, to work with families to ensure that our schools are places where everyone feels accepted, respected, and heard. The campaign from the region of Waterloo that we just heard about, We All Belong Here, fits right in with our stated strategic goals are for students. And it reinforces the need for the WRDSB to continue our commitment to our policies honoring human rights and the dignity of all our students. So, in what is my second term, and I may be the last chair, I will continue to be visible, to listen, and to respond. With my fellow trustees and staff of the Waterloo Region District School Board, we will continue to advocate for needed resources and improved funding. But most importantly of all, we will continue to ensure that students are our focus, that students inform every decision, that students are the reason for everything we do. And the result of that will be high-quality public education informed by human rights and dignity. Thank you. I need to put on my mic. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Trustee Weston, seconded by Trustee Meisner. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you, everyone, and a reminder that there will be a group photo for trustees and a mix and mingle with staff.